Hi guys, it's Jessica. Welcome and welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel slash podcast. Whether you are watching, listening, a combo special, thank you for being here. I'm back on time. Like I said, I would be. We are being consistent in this new year. Shouts out to us. I am so excited for today's episode. I'm going to be chatting with one of my favorite line sisters, Dr. Brentia Caldwell, about her dissertation, which is called Me, Myself, and I, a qualitative exploration of the lived experiences of unmarried, childless, professional, middle-aged Black women with regards to life satisfaction and mental wellness. Say that 3 times fast. I dare you. This research touches on so many of the things that we discuss on this channel, and a lot of times I feel like I'm saying things just based on my lived experience and not necessarily with the research to back it up. So I'm so happy to have someone here that is qualified, that can chat about these things in more depth than the way that I go into them at the different intersections of identity. So I'm thrilled for you guys to get into this episode with me. But first, we have to start with our fashion tip like we always do or whatever. Because what do we discuss over here? Style, wellness, pop culture, whatever else comes up from week to week. And guess what's this week? Paris Couture Week. I'm so excited. I've decided that I'm going to start giving you guys not just fashion tips, but also a little bit of fashion history, a little bit of fun facts. Couture Week is my favorite week because it's the fashion show that really gets to showcase the artistry of fashion. Couture designers aren't as beholden to the financial aspects of fashion that some of the other cities are, some of the other fashion capitals are, New York, Milan, London. I just absolutely love how dedicated they are to things don't have to be quote unquote wearable for mass markets. It's really about their customers. And I feel like it's kind of becoming one of the last true forms of fashion design as it pertains to Fashion Week. Because like I said, they don't have to crank out so much product like the rest of like the ready to wear designers. So a lot of people don't know, first of all, haute couture spring summer 2025 is starting today, January 27th, and it is going to Thursday, January 30th. So I'm obviously recording this before this episode drops, and I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of info about how people actually become haute couture designers. You can't just call yourself one. There's an entire syndicate in Paris, France, that determines whether or not you get to show at Haute Couture Week. So first of all, you have to design made to order for private clients. So that means you have very wealthy clients that can afford to shop with you. You have to have an atelier, which is a workshop in Paris that employs 20 full-time staff members and at least 20 full-time technical people. You have to present a collection of at least 25 original designs twice a year. So Haute Couture Week takes place in January and July, usually around my birthday. And this is during Paris Couture Week. So even if you hit all those markers, they still have to say, you can sit with us. And I think that since the dawn of fashion, honestly, people have always kind of looked at Paris as the go-to, as the GOAT, as the head of how we define fashion. That is a little bit problematic. I say that as someone who's Black American, who has studied fashion for quite some time, and I consider myself a lifelong student because there's still so much to learn. But even when I was earning my degrees, I didn't learn about how integral Black people are and Indigenous people are to the fashion industry. So I'm still learning about that. And I do think that it is a bit problematic that we still define luxury and what's fashionable by Parisian standards. I will give you that. But I also love that they are maintaining the art of creating bespoke pieces that aren't necessarily for mass markets, because everything literally isn't and shouldn't be for everybody. And we can have a conversation about that at a later date. So it's not just about the luxury, it's not just about the people who are wealthy enough to afford these pieces. It's about the fact that these designers get to really be devoted to their art in a way that ready to wear designers are really struggling to maintain with today's see now, buy now retail culture. So that's your fashion fact tip for this week. If you can do a little Google, check out some of the designers, and maybe you'll see something that inspires you to make something more wearable for yourself. Who knows? Inspiration can strike anywhere. So I'm going to shut up now and get into the convo with Dr. Brentia Caldwell. Thank you guys for joining me. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, join our Patreon, send me money because I would like to purchase some haute couture with your money. All right. Bye. Okay. All right, hun. So tell the Not Carrie Bradshaw audience, universe, girly pop world, who you are, what you do, and why.
Sure, sure. So I'm Dr. Brentia Caldwell. I am a private counseling practice owner in downtown Decatur, metro Atlanta area, A-Town, stay down.
What? I don't see you for the East Side, but I allow some of y'all in my
Wow,
life.
wow, wow. That's the best side. But anywho, so yeah, I'm a therapist. I'm a counselor supervisor, so I help emerging clinicians get licensed, and I'm a professor at Mercer, teaching in the counselor education program. Um, and yeah, I became a counselor because I wanted to help people. And as I got further into the profession, I love to see people develop more self-awareness and develop self-esteem, self-worth, and set boundaries and just become a healthier version of themselves. And so, yeah, I've just been sticking with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's like knowing you in college and spring '09. It's like if somebody had have said to me back then, girl, years from now, Brentia is gonna be doing this. I'd be like, girl, bye. But
Yeah.
when I think back to it, you always were this person. You were always low key, like holding court, talking to people about personal experiences and
Yeah.
diving into, oh, well, why? Oh, well, did you ever consider? And you were always quite transparent
Yes.
as well. And that was something that I didn't develop until we got older because you have to have a certain amount of confidence and
Sure.
self
Sure.
worth
Sure.
to be transparent with other people. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what this does track? Was she a little bit loony? Absolutely. But we all were. We all were in college. We were all figuring ourselves out, but you have
Yeah.
always been like this person.
Yeah. I think at the core, like
Mhm.
I am, but I just think probably historically, my outside presentation, I was a little off the chain. Yeah. And I think that yeah, probably shocked people. But I think at the core, people who like for real rock with me and know me, it's in alignment with my personality.
100%. That's the thing. I
Yeah.
think that's also the beauty of truly getting to know a person. It's
Yeah.
that. It
Yeah.
at your core, who are you? Not just what you present, not
Yeah.
just because you know this. We present in a way that makes us feel safe,
Yeah. Absolutely.
you
Self-preservation.
know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you get to know a person for real, and you're like, oh, of course. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
If you're
mhm,
open
mhm.
to like truly getting to know people and not just like what you perceive about them.
Yeah.
So, huge part of why I wanted to talk to you is like when you announced on the Instagrams that you'd earned your doctorate, and I looked at the title of the paper. I said, "Bitch, we need to discuss this ad nauseum. Tell me everything.
Yeah,
Tell me
absolutely.
everything." And since I'm in New York, we couldn't do it over brunch. I was like, my audience needs to know this. So I'm going to read this very intricate title because it needs to be said. Me, Myself, and I, shouts out to Beyonce,
Yes.
a qualitative exploration of the lived experiences of unmarried, childless, professional, middle aged Black women with regards to life satisfaction and mental wellness.
Yes.
Everything about that is right up my alley.
Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
We're not yet middle aged, but we're heading there and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, actually,
Technically, are we?
yeah, because middle age would just be the age where like half of your life has been lived. And yeah, the average lifespan of an American woman is like upper 70s. So we're,
Do
yeah,
you do you feel middle aged?
um, not in spirit,
Right?
but the joints, yes, the knees, the elbow, shoulders, yes. My need for immense amounts of sleep, yes. Um,
You got sleep.
but I feel still very young in spirit,
Right?
which I love. So yeah,
I find it so hard to believe sometimes that we're the adults because I still call my mama
yep.
twice
Still
a
feel like
year.
children. Yep, yep, yep.
I'm like, "Mommy, explain to me again about a deductible. Explain to me like I'm 5. Can I
Yeah,
Google that? Absolutely, but I'm still call my mommy. Hello?
yeah,
What we talking
yeah,
about?" First off, what led you to pursue this topic and this level of specificity with this
yeah.
topic?
Yeah, so the bulk of my clients, when I started out like on my doctoral journey, were a lot of like middle-aged Black women, and I'm talking about bad bitches, boss bitches. I'm just like, oh my gosh, y'all are so great, like great careers, super pretty, in shape, and like just super cool. And then we get to talking, and they are depressed as hell. They're anxious, low self-esteem, low self-worth, and I mean, it was because they were single. They were not married. They felt less in value because they were not married and did not have children. And I just thought that was so wild. And then on the flip side, I was working with some middle-aged women who were married and they hated it. They hated being married. A couple of them were even like, participating in some infidelity because like yeah they didn't even want to come home. And so I'm like, I have like these polar opposites like perspectives, and I just wanted to dig into that. And so yeah, I started just doing research, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to make this my topic for my doctoral journey. And yeah, I just stuck with it the whole time. I never changed my doctoral subject because that happens often. People change their mind. I just stuck with it because I love like researching singlehood and dating, all of that. So it just all made sense. So yeah, that's what brought me to that topic.
Before you like delved into it, because your research, and this should go without saying, but like skimmed through,
Okay.
right? And I,
Yeah.
because you sent me the, and in the midst of me reading like a Toni Morrison novel, taking me through it, and then also trying to finish Jane Eyre.
Okay.
Ugh. I said,
Okay.
okay, let me read what I can. And then it got academic, and I said, am I slow? But
No, you're
I
not. And
want to
that's yeah.
say, I want to say that you were so very thorough,
Okay.
especially in the intersectionality, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
different things meeting here, right? So I
Yeah.
want to know, for you, before you went into this, what was your perspective on singlehood, or how did you view singlehood before this research?
Yeah. I loved it. I
Always?
yeah, like I've never been a girly that's like, oh, I need to get married, I need to have kids. That just never was my thing. And so uh yeah, I loved it. And I guess that probably like drew me to my topic as well because I'm meeting all these women who don't like to be single. I was like, what's wrong with you? Like, you get to thrive in singlehood, but that's my own bias, right? Um, so yeah, like I did not have an issue with singlehood. I promote it if it's healthy, right? Like, yeah, I loved it. It's been an identity shift for me about to get married because I'm like, oh shit, this
And I want to get into that a little bit later.
yeah.
I know for me, the thing that I had to have like a come to Jesus moment in terms of like being in therapy for like
Mhm.
years, and not really talking to my therapist about romantic relationships because I had accepted lock, stock, and barrel. I accepted that's just not for me because I felt like my dating experiences were markedly worse than other people
Okay.
around me. It seemed to come so much more naturally to everybody else. So
Okay.
I thought there's some sort of bone or muscle or something that everyone else is born with that I'm simply not. And I
Okay.
literally was not even saying that to my therapist, because if you say that to your therapist, she gonna be like, "Girl, let's talk more about that. What you mean by
Yeah. Yeah.
that?"
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I had like an earth shattering breakup that it was crying and throwing up,
Okay.
crying and
Yeah,
throwing
yeah,
up.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You know, what's the line said? We tried to drink it away, we tried to smoke it away, we tried to, and it was like, nope, the only way out is through. And I
Yeah.
had to really like sit with what is my history, what are my patterns, where did this come from, da da da. And from that, I met this woman who is now one of my closest, like favorite people in the world, closest friends, who her whole content is about singlehood. And it
Okay.
wasn't until I started doing that work in therapy and I met her just by chance that
Yeah.
I came to realize that you can both desire partnership and enjoy singlehood.
Yep. Perfect. Yep.
No one had ever told me that you could do both.
Yep.
And what I also came to realize as you're reading more about patriarchy and feminism and capitalism, all these different intersections,
Yep.
is
All
that
systems.
women are afraid to look like they're having too much fun single because you don't want to scare a man off.
Mm,
Want to look
mhm,
available.
mhm.
And I said to the guy, I was like, he was like, you just didn't really seem like you wanted to settle down. And I said, what does a woman who want to settle down seem like?
Yeah, we have to reframe that perspective, like what that looks like. Yeah, because you could be ready to settle down and still enjoy your life. That's like,
God
yeah,
forbid a woman have hobbies.
yeah, or have fun or have interests, right? Have a social life. Like, yeah, it's wild. But yeah, I talk about that in the paper, how we're socialized. Yeah,
That's what I was getting to. I want to
yeah.
know, like, as you were on this journey, as a person who came into it just kind of knowing like it's lit over here. This is a good time, it's fun. What were your key findings? What surprised you, like on your research? What was like, pitch, what, or was it all just like, yep, this is absolutely what I thought the whole time?
Yeah. Nothing like full on surprised me. I guess I was a little shocked that all of the people in my research project fully enjoyed their life. They had high levels of life satisfaction. I thought maybe I could get maybe one or two in there. It was like, man, this shit sucks. Get me out of here. Give me a man. Took yesterday. But yeah, everybody there was pretty content. Like mid high to high levels of life satisfaction. They implemented a lot of wellness practices. So like they were good. And it wasn't like this like destitute, distraught perspective of, oh, I'm just gonna be single for the rest of my life, kill me now. It was just like this is my life and it's good. And if it changes, that's cool, but if it doesn't, that's cool too.
And you make a very clear distinction in your definition of single. So I want to pull
Yes.
that out, that you're just saying like a person who is not married.
Correct.
So these women, are they dating?
Some were.
Okay.
Yeah, some were. Um, the bulk of them, had experienced dating challenges, so they just really weren't, concerned about dating. They were just having, fun. They also had hobbies, like, which is another thing I talk about with the findings is that yeah, when you have like interests and hobbies and like a good self relationship, you're not as impacted by singlehood. Um, as impacted. You can be, but yeah, you can have a high life satisfaction
I
if you have some of
noticed,
those things.
not a researcher, but a social observer,
Yeah,
a
that's
casual,
research.
yes,
That's research.
a casual anthropologist, if you will. I noticed, especially leading up to this election, I started, and I'm sure it's always been there, but I started really noticing that there were straight women. I don't know if this was happening with our sisters who go to that church. We're allies here, obviously.
Okay.
But for straight women, I was noticing that it seemed like they were looking to romantic partnership to save them from capitalism, to save them from the ills of the world. And I just was kind of thinking, like, I wonder what would happen if she had a best friend or like a clique of friends, or if
Yeah,
she just went
yeah.
and tried a little archery, uh, pottery
Yeah.
making. if she took a notion to go to a cooking class. Just
Yeah.
what would this be like? And I also was curious if they had money,
Hey.
would they be so pressed for marriage? One of my favorite comedians, Ali Wong,
Uh-huh.
first two specials were about how, she's a comedian. She was in, the entertainment industry. Her career wasn't going great. So she intentionally trapped her husband because he had a Harvard degree. He was very moneyed. That was
Yes.
her security plan. Then she started outpacing him
Yeah.
financially. And she was like, I don't really want to be married no more. So I sometimes wonder if for the women who are experiencing not a lot of life satisfaction in singlehood, if you have more money, money can't buy you happiness, but it can give you security, which
Sure,
is
sure.
a component of joy. Would you be so pressed for a man? And I'm just so curious about that because people will look at Rihanna and it's like, well, he won't marry her. Why she need to be married?
Okay. Yeah, I think it goes back to a little bit of just like how we frame marriage and like our like motives for marriage. So historically, women got married so they can be secure, right? With the flip of women making more money, getting more educated, things like that. That's not necessarily like a full on like factor for marriage anymore. It can be like you can marry for money, and people definitely still do, right? But that's not like more so now. Like women want to like their partner, like they want to enjoy being around them, because they have their own money. So like, yeah, historically, like I don't like my husband, but I need him. I need him to like eat and have clothes and shelter. So once that kind of once that changed a little, women are like, well, I make my own money. I can survive on my own. I want to date somebody I like. I want to marry somebody that I like and that respects me and values me. And so, yeah, it's just been a transition from history on, yeah, how we rock with that. On the flip side, rich women, because of how we're socialized, not we, let me stop saying we, because of how women are socialized, right? Um, you can still be rich and still want or feel like you should be married, just because we're socialized to be like that. Like women have value, right? When they're married, when they're attached to a partner, particularly a male partner, right? So it's still there. That concept is still there.
Yeah,
Wealthy women still are socialized and made to feel like they should be married.
for
But
sure.
yeah, there's been a transition.
I'm just curious if there is a connection between like not having the resources to pursue hobbies, to travel,
But
to
yeah, there's some connection there. Yeah.
yeah, like, I think that there's a little bit of privilege associated with enjoying singlehood. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
nobody like nothing when they broke. Let me say that. Okay. Everything is a little bit worse when you broke and when you feel
Okay.
ugly.
Okay.
I tell people all the time, before you crash out, get your hair and your nails done. See, don't you want to
Okay. Okay. Eat a nice meal, right? And yeah, yeah, and yeah, and
go
see, yeah,
have a martini and a Caesar
yep,
salad and maybe a ribeye and tell me you don't feel bad before you crash out. Let's
yes,
check off the, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
This is again to in transparency, part of the way that I got through like the most devastating breakup. I bought my way through it.
okay, yeah.
I incurred a little bit of credit card debt being like, what can we buy? Rack it up. Let's see what it here for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I do wonder if for the women who it just from my observation on social media, it's like you seem like you don't have the money to do the things that you want to do. And you think that being with a man will give you that money. But what I don't think some women realize is that marriage can be, if you're not in the right situation, can be a prison of your own creating.
yep,
You might not go over there and be free to do what you
yep,
think you want to do. You're gonna
yep.
have the money, but you ain't gonna have the freedom to enjoy it.
Yep, I 100% agree. Yeah, the grass is always greener. Which is, one of the purposes of my dissertation is to like really encourage women to make choices that align with what they want, like, and not to be, like, so consumed with socialization, right? You got to do what fits you. And yeah, yeah. But like what you're mentioning, like a lot of systems impact how we navigate the world, right? So capitalism, sexism, chauvinism, all of it, right? All those isms, all those systems, yeah. It's a variety of factors in people's dating decisions. So yeah,
But I think
very
that
nuanced.
overwhelmingly for the women who you interviewed, who were part of your research, who were experiencing like high life satisfaction, they had the resources, correct? Like they were
Yes. Yeah.
professionals. That's a key part of it, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so sometimes I just be wanting to tell people like try to get more money and see don't you feel better.
Sure, sure. I do feel that like, yeah, money can assist. But also how we frame what resources are. Sometimes resources is community. Like, so if you lack resources, you probably will not enjoy single life. So yeah, if you don't have a career that you enjoy, that's a resource, or the money from the career. So even if you don't like the job, you like the money, right? Or community, family relationships, relationships with self, those are all resources. So yeah, if you lack all those, yeah, you might have some challenges being single
Yeah.
because yeah, you lack resources like in its entirety. But yeah,
I think that when people view single, they literally look at it as I'm alone in the world, and no,
yes,
you are not. No,
yes,
you're not.
yes, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so a purpose of the research too is like to help people reframe thinking. Even in my dissertation defense, I really just told them to just mind your business. Like
Ooh,
yeah, I'm telling the world to like just get out of black women's business. Like if a black woman wants to be single or if she wants to be married 5 times, who are you to like say like what's appropriate and what's not? And granted, you can have your opinions, you can have your values, sure. But yeah, just stay out of black women's business if they want to, and even stay out of women's business. Like let people be single if they want to. Let them be married and miserable like you are if they want to, right? Uh,
I think that's
yeah.
the part that I'm so confused by is when we see people that just go after especially black women who there's this whole thing of villainizing black women with multiple degrees. You
Yes.
Your multiple degrees ain't gonna keep you warm at night. Well, let's follow that through because maybe that person is like making enough money to warm their home. They might not
Yeah.
be paying for AC. What we
Yeah.
talking about here? And
Yes.
I'm like, why are you so bothered? But the logic isn't there.
Yeah.
You're not attracted to women who live life this way. So why are you invested in the way they live their life?
Exactly. Exactly.
Or is it that you are attracted to them and you feel like by virtue of them having these things, you're
You
not
can't get to them. You don't have access to them. Correct. Yeah. 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 So it's a variety of things. But yeah, you were just so funny, but true, right? Like you threaten us with, and I say us, I'm not single, but you threaten like unmarried women with, oh, those degrees won't keep you warm at night. How about you ask me if I like to be cold, right? Like maybe I don't want to be warm at night, right? Like it's so many things to consider. You know what I'm saying? Like
some of
who
us
told you?
run hot like an old Chevy.
Yeah, who told you I want to be warm at night? You know what I'm saying? I'm from Colorado. I like the chill. You know what I'm saying? But again, when you're in people's business and you're projecting, right, your personal values, you don't leave room to get to know people and what they want. Like you could ask somebody why they're not married or why they ain't got no man. They could be a whole lesbian. We're asking somebody why they don't have a husband. They don't even like men.
And they do not like the boys. So
Okay, so
I
yeah.
had a moment like this yesterday. I had to talk it through with one of my best friends and one of my sister. I was just like, tell me if I'm tripping. So the girl, I forget her name, Joy something. The girl who's a dancer, she has a baby with Future,
Oh,
basketball, and
yeah.
now
I know.
this NFL
Yeah.
player. And she made a
Mhm.
video that, to be very transparent, I didn't watch the video in its entirety. But she was saying that her house didn't burn down in the fires, but the stuff around her did. So they had, fled to her mom's house and they're rotating the same 5 outfits. And she's saving up money. And I don't know if she's saving up money particularly like for a home, but like saving money. And of course, a lot of people were like, you got 3 babies by 3 rich niggas and you ain't da da da. We're not responsible for the kind of parent that a person turns out to be because I don't think you know what kind of parent you're gonna be until you become a parent.
Sure, sure,
You
sure.
you might I think some people go into it thinking that they're gonna be a certain kind of mom, and then it's like, "Oh, that don't make sense for this situation." You
Yep.
don't know. Like, I have friends who got married and thought that their husband was going to be a present
Yep.
parent, and it was like, "Baby, you a single mother in this marriage." You
Yep.
know?
Single mother. Yep.
People don't know, right?
Yep.
So, I didn't like that people were attacking her for the perceived absence of the 3 fathers, but I
Mhm.
was like, choosing to be a single mom 3 times over is an interesting choice though,
Yeah,
right?
it
Like,
is. It
and
is.
I arrived at, I like to approach things with curiosity over conviction, and I'm just like, at some point, is this not a pattern of behavior? And these are your choices, and I empathize with everyone. I love everyone. But how do we arrive here? Because this seems like a choice that you made 3 times
Yeah.
over, and
Yeah.
being a single mom to 1 kid seems desperately hard.
Yeah, it seems
Being a
devastating.
partnered mom to 1 kid, especially when you working and under
Yep.
capitalism, seems desperately hard. So I
Yeah.
was like, I can't fathom doing this 3 times over. And my sister who just had her first baby, Izzy is 1. She
Okay.
was like, for some people, mom is life. There are some people that, yeah, it's gonna be hard, but they kind of welcome it because they just more than anything enjoy being a mom.
Yeah, that's their identity, or that's like a desired identity. It's very salient to them. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, oh shit, I done did it. I done did it. I was projecting like my
Yeah.
perception
Yeah.
of, motherhood, because I had to have like a come to Jesus moment with my gynecologist about motherhood as well, because the relationship that I just ended, I thought that was going to be my person that I was going to have a kid with. And I
Okay.
was perfectly fine to do that before marriage, because it's like, I know that I want this baby, right?
Okay.
And my gynecologist was like, we're looking at my blood work and like how much time I have to have a baby, right?
Sure.
And
Sure.
she's like, if you have a partner that wants to have a baby with you, just have the baby. And I was like, well,
Okay.
we're not married. She said, I was married for 15 years. I don't have that husband, but I have my 2 kids. And that's what I
Mhm.
want more than anything is my 2 kids. And she was like, you
Okay.
can be married and there's still no guarantees that that's what it's
Absolutely.
gonna. That's
Absolutely.
what she was like, weigh it out. How badly do you want to be a mom?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had to sit with, I'm more afraid. At the time, I was more afraid of the stigma of being a baby mama, of being a Black woman who chose to be a baby mama,
Okay.
than I wanted this baby. And I was like, oh, that's crazy as hell. Because fuck them folks, they don't know me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the one of my favorite content creators, Brandon Kyle Goodman, like actor, voice actor, podcaster. They say, consider who you would be if society never got its hands on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, that's it.
that's a
Yeah.
constant relearning and readjustment, because I was just like, I don't want to judge her, but this seems hard as shit. And my sister
Yeah.
was like, some people don't mind the hard.
Yeah, they
You know
don't.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, they don't. I meet a lot of moms and they look totally wrecked. And they be like, you should have a kid. I'm like, girl, look like you're hanging on by a string, right? But
You
they
look
love
like
it.
what you've been through, and I don't wanna.
Yeah, but they really enjoy that. They really enjoy motherhood, the difficulties of it, the constant being needed and all of that. I don't enjoy that, right? And so yeah, I've had to be mindful of my bias because I'm like, girl, you look crazy. Why would I want to have kids? Like, but again, that craziness, they like that. Like some people really like and enjoy being moms, and I love that for them. That's just not my ministry. And so I had to like taper my biases and just be like, girl, let people do what they do. If
That's
somebody
what it
can have
was.
5 kids,
That's what it was. I think that it's so hard for us to conceptualize another person enjoying something that we wouldn't, and
exactly. Same
catch
with singlehood, exactly.
you have to catch
Exactly.
what it is. Um,
Yeah.
with everything that we're seeing about people companies, institutions, and the things, eliminating their DEI. I'm so curious about how you feel about being a Black woman in academia because I follow a lot of academics and have a lot of friends who are academics that are mostly Black people. And I'm just so curious because racism, we can't extrapolate racism out of anything. It's just
Sure.
there because
It's
it's
there. Yeah.
a pinnacle of the founding of this country. So I'm just so curious how it is navigating this space as a Black woman, particularly doing this kind of work.
Sure, sure. I think navigating any kind of space, especially like a majority white space, it's just always tough. And it's going to always be tough, particularly for Black women or just women of color, because we're at the intersection of at least two marginalized communities. And don't add in another marginalized community to like, for me, like I'm disabled, right? So I have lupus, or it's like maybe a lesbian woman in academia, right? So you're at the intersection of several marginalized communities, and it's just tough. DEI or not, equal opportunity employment or not, it doesn't matter. Like if it's present or not, it's still challenging, right? You're still trying to navigate very white spaces where people discount you, even though you have all the credentials times 10. Uh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's still just tough. But for me, I'm gonna always do like. You can ask anybody in my cohort. You can ask my professors at Mercer. You can ask my students. I act the same wherever I am.
Mhm.
Okay. I show up very Black, my ratchet ways. Even though I'm from Colorado, I don't really have like a full on accent. Like, so people say I talk like a news reporter. I don't see it, but whatever. But I still show up just very like me. I crack jokes. Like, I wear sneakers to class. Like, as a professor, like, I just show up as myself. And I feel like when you do that, you start to own a little bit of the space, that white space. And so that's all I strive to do. But it is tough. Um, yeah. And I just hope that my presence empowers my cohort members, other students, other staff to like just really just show up authentically. I feel like if we had more of that, it could be a little safer for
That's what,
academia, but
yeah.
it's tough to, yeah,
I think that when people, it's a phrase that I find overused, but when people like normalize this or normalize that, you normalize
sure.
by doing, you normalize by showing
Yep.
up
Behavior.
confidently
Yeah.
as yourself. But we know how difficult it is for people, particularly from marginalized communities at different intersections, to have confidence, like
Yeah.
actual confidence, not performative, but to actually be comfortable being who you are without the fear of judgment. That's
Yeah.
how you normalize things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, with the fear of judgment, I think sometimes you have to do shit scared. Like, cause there's still gonna always be a little bit of ounce of like, okay, I'm gonna show up this way and I know people are gonna judge, but I'm gonna still do it regardless. Cause it's
Mhm.
still gonna be a little bit of fear because it's safety too. It's my job, right? I don't wanna get up there, act too ratchet, and then I can't get my Brandon Blackwood bags. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't eat my Caesar salad, my lemon drop martini, and my truffle fries. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
God forbid
yeah.
I can't take a little random trip to Sephora.
Yeah.
I
So
need a little
again,
treat. We need a
yeah.
little treat.
So yeah, just I understand people wanting safety too, right? So there's going to be a little bit of fear there. That's the human experience, but you just got to do shit scared. I sometimes I'll leave the classroom. I'll be like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably should have toned that down. But then I'm just like, who cares? Like my students love me. I get along with my cohort. I get along with the other professors. It's like, girl, just do you.
I
And when you can't do you, go do you somewhere else.
mm, put that on
So
the tote bag and give me 10% of the revenue.
I
Um,
cannot. I cannot.
I'm so curious how you reconcile your findings with the fact that you're about to get married. And I want to know, I want to tell you right now, I already have 3 outfits picked out for the wedding. Go ahead.
Yes, I love that. And I know you're going to be a bad bitch there. I know that. I know that. I already foresee that. So yeah, so it's so funny. Um I guess I wasn't talking about Nick, my fiance, enough. Because when I came out to my cohort about my topic from the jump, they were like, cool. But then when I mentioned having a boyfriend like a year or two in. They were like, "Wait, you with somebody?" I was like, "Yeah, I enjoy singlehood scholarship, like talking about singlehood, but I'm not single. I got a man. Like yeah, and yeah. So it's just funny that that's the perception of me,
Mhm.
and it's a very real perception. I mean, I do give off, those kind of vibes. But in terms of like reconciling my studies findings, I mean, the things that emerged from my study, I agree with, even in my pursuit of marriage, right? I agree. I agree that if you have community, I feel like you'll be okay, right? If you like enjoy your job and you try to make meaningful connections, like you can be single and have a good life. I do believe that. So yeah, my personal life doesn't necessarily like contrast what,
Right.
yeah,
I feel like it's still in alignment. And I want to
yeah,
say two things here. First of all, I always appreciate people that can chew gum and walk at the same time. Because
yeah,
you can accept that, like, yeah, this is true and this is true. And I'm realizing a lot of people don't have the mental capacity for two things to be true at the same time and don't fuck
yeah.
around
And
and go in a
I talk a
third.
lot about that in therapy, about leaving space for both and like operating in the gray, like, because most of life is in the gray. Everything is not
The
black or
nuance.
white.
A
Yeah,
lot of things are nuanced.
yeah,
And the second thing is, I think that there is a lot to be gleaned from your research for people who are partnered, who are about to be partnered, who are entering into marriage. I think that
yeah,
no matter where you are, you always need community.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that there was a podcast that I listened to. What is time? It seemed like it was 10 years ago. It might have been yesterday, but I don't know. But I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about the evolution of marriage and how
Okay.
initially, it was to consolidate wealth and to provide security for a
Transactional.
family.
Yep.
And it was transactional. Then you have like the Jane Austen era where people were like, I want to marry for love, Papa. I don't love him. Like, I love Pride and Prejudice. Baby, let me tell you something. You give me a cold winter day and my bed in Pride and Prejudice.
I mean, that British accent is on point, girl. I mean,
Baby,
it's
I'm down for. I love that shit. And then and it became that like your partner was supposed to be your end all be all. But now we're in a place that I love where it's your partner cannot be your everything, nor should they. You
yeah,
still need interests. You still need
yeah,
external connections to people that matter to you. And I think that even in your marriage, even in your partnership, y'all aren't existing in a vacuum. You both need people that you can bounce off of
yes,
so that you're not just in this like bubble, right?
yes,
Um, and that's why I think everyone needs community. And I think that if we viewed things from a more communal perspective, we would have more acceptance and respect for the different paths that people choose to take. 'Cause
sure,
you
sure.
might be judging homegirl for not having kids, right? But when you and your husband want to go on a vacation, she can watch your kids for you because she got the time. You know what I'm saying? Or if something happens, overwhelmingly, I have had a couple of people. Mm, mm, mm give me their ass to kiss when they got married. Like
Ah,
literally had a person tell me, I don't care about nothing right now but being a wife and a mother. I said, baby, best of luck on your journey. I support you and I love that for you. When things went kaput,
uh-huh,
she
uh-huh.
couldn't go to her married friends about, I think I want to leave this marriage. I'm not happy. I did it out. You come to the girl who's single and you want
Yeah,
to know what it's like over here. Like, are you happy? How do you do da 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 da? Now you want friendship. Now you want community.
yeah,
You can't abandon your community for your relationship. The priorities might shift, but
sure.
I think that partnered people lose life satisfaction in that relationship when they don't have shit going on outside of it.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Um, and I think that's the case for a lot of relationships or a lot of connections is that if you don't have something outside of that, that life satisfaction can, be a little, same thing like with the job, right? If all you do is a job, like if you don't have a life outside of that, your life satisfaction levels can, teeter a little. Same thing, marriage, right? But you don't have no friends, you don't have no interests. Yeah, I mean,
You gotta diversify that social portfolio.
exactly, exactly. I even discuss having like relationships with coworkers because I know that they're like it's a thing now that people are like don't be at work being friends with people at work. But the thing is, you work a lot. Why wouldn't you want good relationships at work? And I'm not saying everybody up at your job need to know your business, but like
Yeah.
if you're at work all day, at least 5 days a week, why wouldn't you want like good personable relationships at work? Um, kind of to help like make work worth a little something more
Let me
than
tell you
just the
something.
compensation. Yeah.
That's how I get through like my day job, which is non-consequential. We just work there to make money. But a huge part of how I get through that day is having a little midday kiki. Like
Exactly.
if me and
Exactly.
my good Judy at work, we'll prep each other. Bitch, it's gonna be a tough day. We need to have a TikTok chat at 10:15. And then at 3, we need to go get a little something sweet down the street at the cafe. You down, bitch? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a person who needs other people. I am not a solitary person. I
Okay.
I have, lived alone for 10 years and I fucking
Yeah.
love it. But I also deeply enjoy personal connections with other people. So
Okay.
when
Yeah.
people are just like, oh, I don't, okay, well, I find joy in
Yeah.
spending time
Yeah.
with a nice, normal person. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. Really finding balance, like, and I want to encourage like people, and that was one of the hopes of like the dissertation is like to encourage people to find balance, right? Like to yeah, make your life a little bit multifaceted.
Mm,
Um, you know what I'm saying? Like to tap into your interests, have hobbies, enjoy your work, or at least try to enjoy the people at work, right? Or maybe you enjoy like your type of work, but maybe not the institution you work for, right? But yeah, yeah, to like be multifaceted in that balance is so necessary.
mhm.
And I think too, like even when you ask me about the reconciliation between like my study and my real life, like I enjoy Nick, my fiance, and our relationship. But I also have such a thriving life outside of my relationship. Like I really rock with my friends, my line sisters. I'm very close to my brother, my dad, um, all those things. So like, if God forbid something happened to Nick, I mean, obviously I'd be devastated, but I mean, I can move forward. I have built up and cultivated on my pockets. I'm very cool with my line sisters. Like it's just, yeah, I'm in there. Like I have a full life. And I think that helps me. And that helped me too prior to being engaged or in a relationship. Why I enjoyed being single. It's because it was fun. I have hobbies, like I do a lot of fun shit. Like I have friends, like I liked my job. So yeah, life is good. It was good. It's good. It is good.
Okay, so
Yeah.
before we started recording, we were talking about our line sister's wedding in Colombia, and you really want to go to Colombia. So
Yeah.
I have to ask. This is just like a question that I ask like all guests. Let's say I come into some money tomorrow, and I say, "Bitch, pack a bag. We're going to Colombia." The caveat is you can only bring one carry on.
Mm.
What's going in your carry on?
Ooh.
Like from a fashion perspective, you only got a
Yes.
few. You got limited space.
Yes. So
What's
I
like
got
your must-have like fashion items?
yeah, I gotta put some sneakers in there. I gotta put a nice pair of sneakers in there. And I gotta put my accessories. I'm very gaudy in my presentation. So like I gotta like have my accessories and like a good pair of sneakers. And I feel like everything else I could probably work out.
I love that because that is so you.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
It really is.
yeah, yeah. That's
I
me.
know what she gonna say, but and then you said exactly what I thought you would.
Yeah, that's
I
me.
think that's also a part of like when I give people style advice when they pay me, because otherwise it's just like you just want me to tell you that you know how to dress, and I that ain't for me to say. But when I give people style advice, I'm like, how do you live your life? You know what I mean? I think a lot, especially with social media, people look at people's style and they just want to copy and paste it, not
Yes.
knowing that that person's style came from a lived life.
Yes. Oh, girl. Yes. Yeah, because just like even like the emergence of like the street style, the casual street style, that's like obviously I tap into that because that's more of my style. But yeah, that's like, I mean, that's like a lifestyle, right? Like you have more of like a casual life, right? Like chill, you don't want to be fully dressed up all the time. That is you. And so yeah, I love that. But yeah, casual street style, that's my shit right there. Like just being comfortable, but still like giving a look. Like that's my personality. So yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Have you last thing, have you noticed on like film and television, a lot of times if someone goes to see a therapist, it's a black woman? Have you noticed this?
Yes, if the therapist is black, yes, yeah, it's a black woman.
And I'm like, overwhelmingly, do you know how hard it is to find like a black female therapist who accepts insurance? Like, how, and then I'm just like, somebody didn't do their research, but I think that it's like an evolution of almost like the mammy trope for black women. People
Hey,
just think that,
I was going to say that. I was
yeah,
going to say that. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, a part of it is a good thing that people want to like seek us out, and seek our like expertise. But the other part is like, I think we get tired of saving everybody, and that like being dependent on to like transform other people's lives. That can, yeah, that can become a little bit of a challenge. And I say that personally. Um, yeah, and it's wild too because this year I started taking new clients for like the first time in like 3-ish years. And I've had like a influx of like non-black clients. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. But
that's
it's because they found me on their insurance.
okay.
Yeah, that I accept insurance. But yeah, it's a thing. So yeah, the mammy trope, absolutely. And I talk about archetypes in the dissertation too, about just how black women are perceived. I mean, we are perceived as saviors. Like, leave it to a black girl, she'll do it. She'll do it well and she won't complain, right?
Hmm.
I'm sick of that shit. Okay, because I
Hmm.
will complain.
I'm
And
gonna complain. I'm gonna
yeah,
write
I will
a strongly
complain.
worded letter, not an email. I'm gonna write a handwritten, strongly worded letter to your
Yeah,
congressman.
yeah, yeah. And so I think too, black women are starting to find their voice in that respect and be like, yeah, I'm not doing it. And granted, I the perception of black women is that we're very expressive, right? We're very outspoken, but the truth is a lot of times things that truly bother us, we internalize it. And we don't really speak out like we should. But I'm starting to see a little bit of the shift, especially like the age bracket right after us. What do they call Gen Z?
Hmm.
Child, they don't give a fuck. You hear me? Like you're not about to play with them, and I respect that for them. So yeah, we're getting tired of that, and I think some shifts are among us. But yeah, it's definitely a thing.
So tell the people who want to engage with your work, who are seeking therapy, who are seeking wellness, who are seeking to expand and make a multifaceted life, how can they find you and or resources that you provide?
Sure, sure. All right, so I mean, folks can always email me at Brentia at upcentercounseling.com. And that's my practice email. But looking at resources, anything with singlehood that's like exploring singlehood. So not necessarily like trying to up it or promote it, but exploring it. So just people can get like a wide array of perspectives about what singlehood is so they can, make a decision, an informed decision on their, on their own. Right. They can definitely read my dissertation. Like I was telling Jessica, Not Carrie Bradshaw, I was telling her I wasn't really proud of my writing in my dissertation as I normally would because I am a writer. I was just trying to graduate, but you can definitely check out my dissertation.
As a
Um,
person who read, skimmed, and will continue to revisit it, I don't know what you mean. It is
yeah, I
well
just,
written. It's just I think that when we can't write narratively and we can't
yes,
write formally, then I
yes.
feel like it takes our voice out, but your voice is still very much there.
Okay, well, good. So yeah, people can read my dissertation for a little bit of insight. Um, I also have a colleague slash mentor, Dr. Chris Marsh. She wrote a book called The Love Jones Cohort, which is also just exploring like single lives and just what that is. But yeah, I just really want to encourage people to just make a decision that's best for you, that's in most alignment with your values, your needs. And sometimes that is singlehood, sometimes that is marriage. Sometimes it's a little bit of both, right? That you're married, but you enjoy some aspects of singlehood, like, doing things by yourself and all of that. But yeah, so upcentercounseling.com is my website. Um, I'm currently not taking new clients, but some people in my practice are. So yeah,
Awesome. Thank you, line sister.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Anything for you?
Okay.
Anything for you, Muff Dog?
And you wonder why people say you sound like a news anchor? That
Girl, they be killing me with that.
it's there. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna stop the record.